Well, Pakistan says 5 more civilians have been killed in shelling linked to the conflict with India over the disputed region of Kashmir. At least 50 people have been killed in exchanges of fire prompted by last month's attack on tourists in Indian-controlled Kashmir.
With international calls to de-escalate ringing in the ears of their leaders, Indians and Pakistanis on either side of the border region are left to endure the military engagements, gun and artillery fire, and drone attacks. This one posted by the India military, a strike it called a befitting response to Pakistani ceasefire violations.
India was compelled to respond to bring mortar and artillery fire from Pakistan to a halt. Indian armed forces reiterate their commitment to non-escalation, provided it is respected by the Pakistan military.
Pakistan, in turn, promising responses of its own.
We will not hit the civilian population, not at all. We'll refrain from that, but we'll definitely hit their military installations. Military installation, their bases, their forward positions.
Pakistan does not want war, but if it comes to protect our motherland, every Pakistani is standing beside our armed forces.
A refrain heard from India-controlled Kashmir as well, having endured the cross-border military activity of recent days.
How could anyone sleep? When there's an explosion, it feels like your ears will burst. The children scream and cry.
There is no sign of the deadly tit-for-tat exchanges letting up. They've led to airport and school closures on both sides. And after a major cricket match in the region was abandoned midway due to the fighting, the massively popular India Premier League suspended play across the country. The sport is a big deal in both India and Pakistan. But for those closest or caught in the middle of conflict, cricket is the least of their worries. Their hope that one side, then the other, will back off on the bullets and bombshells and the fiery rhetoric.
Well, I'm joined now by Sushant Singh. He's a journalist and a lecturer in South Asian Studies at Yale University. He joins us tonight from Delhi. It's good to have you on the program. Both of these countries appear to be on the brink at the moment. Pakistan's military said today that it will not de-escalate with India. How concerned are you about how this situation is developing?
Thank you for having me on your show. And I'm particularly concerned the way the things are getting escalated on both sides. Neither side seems to be in a concessionary mood. Neither side seems to be giving in and asking for de-escalation. The kind of rhetoric that is coming from both sides, which as you just showed in your own news report, is pretty dangerous and pretty crazy. Especially when you consider that both of them are nuclear armed countries, and this could easily go out of hand. What also makes me more worried is the fact that the U.S., the Trump administration in the U.S. has completely taken a hands-off approach. Vice President J.D. Vance yesterday said that they don't want to interfere if India and Pakistan want to fight. They're not concerned about it, which is very risky. That makes it doubly dangerous because U.S. has been the usual interlocutor in South Asia, which has diffused earlier such crises. So all in all, I'm very worried about the situation.
And without the U.S. wanting to intervene, does that leave both countries to their own devices? I'll give you an example. We've got India ordering X, which used to be known as Twitter, to block more than 8,000 accounts, including news outlets. The Indian publication Wire claims that the Indian government has blocked access to the Wire. Why would we be seeing these actions?
It's very surprising. I think there is a desire to control, to have complete and total control over information flow from Mr. Modi's government. And this is not new. This conflict provides him with an excuse, with a reason to actually go after everyone whom he's uncomfortable with or believes is not on his side. As you probably know, India's media rankings in the freedom of press rankings brought out by Reporters Sans Borders is very low. It is in the last 30 countries in the world. You are probably aware that under Mr. Modi in the last decade or so, Indian journalists have not performed well at all. And in this kind of environment, a platform like The Wire, which is an independent platform where many of my friends work, the editors are my friends, the founders are my friends, it is something which is very disturbing. That a platform like Wire has been taken down, and 8,000 Twitter or X accounts, particularly from Kashmiri journalists, noted scholars, BBC Urdu, noted global platforms. They have all been taken down. At one point of time, even the X's public affairs X handle was taken down. But so it is to that level, that kind of control that that Mr. Modi's government wants to exercise over the information ecosystem.
Is it possible to say tonight then that the people living in India do not have a complete picture of what's happening between their country and Pakistan?
Definitely. I'll give you an example about this. On the night that India conducted these operations, military operations on those 9 sites and hit those 9 sites inside Pakistan, all global reports, whether it is your platform or CNN or BBC or New York Times, everybody shows that few Indian fighter jets were shot down on the Indian side and crashed. No Indian newspaper, no Indian television channel, no Indian platform has had even a single line about this. Not even the Pakistani allegation that it shot down 5 Indian fighter jets. So most Indians believe that no Indian fighter jet was shot down that night. Whereas the fact of the matter is that at least 1, if not 3, if not 5 fighter jets were shot down. And so clearly, you are absolutely right. The Indians do not have a clear picture about what's going on in this conflict between Pakistan. And I think the situation is similar on the Pakistan side, where even Pakistanis don't have a full picture of what's going on.
It just proves the point that the truth is usually the first casualty of any conflict and war. Mr. Singh, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you.
For more on this, we can now speak with Gareth Price. He's a South Asia expert for the think tank Azure Forum for Contemporary Security Strategy and joins us from London. Gareth, both India and Pakistan reportedly targeted each other's territories beyond their disputed Kashmir border. What do you make of that?
I think it's really concerning. Following the initial terrorist attack, India's already shown that it's willing to take action against what it calls terrorist training centers in Pakistan. It's done that before. But after that, the situation's kind of died down with both sides claiming some form of victory. And this time, rather than dying down, it's escalated and spread. So I think that's concerning and something, this is a new development.
India and Pakistan are continuing, as you pointed out, continuing to launch attacks, even though we keep hearing that neither side really wants or can afford a war. Why are they not stepping away from this incredibly dangerous confrontation? What's stopping them?
Well, I think there's different drivers on both sides. I mean, for India, bringing peace to Kashmir was one of the main platforms for the government, and obviously the attacks demonstrated that hadn't happened, and so India therefore had to respond. I think it's difficult to see what success looks like. I think that's one of the problems for that. And for Pakistan, if Pakistan was complicit in the terrorist attack, then there is a logic to that, which is that Pakistan has political crises. Imran Khan, its most popular politicians, imprisoned. The government is seen as a stooge, if you like, for Pakistan's military. And one thing that brings the country together is tension with India. So there's a logic to it, and which leads to the question of how you de-escalate when both sides have a logic not to de-escalate.
Where do you think the red lines are, Gareth, in this conflict? What could trigger a major escalation?
I think there's, as you say, the question of what this ongoing tit-for-tat bombing itself seems to, that can get worse, and then on it goes. I think the reverse to your question is what triggers a de-escalation, and I think there it's really unclear what that looks like. So I do think that possibly the current situation can prevail for some time without neither escalating nor de-escalating, just cross-border shelling until both sides tire of it. But obviously that's a risky strategy on both sides.
Now, Pakistan has banned Indian news content for years already. India has now cut off most of its own access to Pakistani news sources, I understand. What's behind that, and what impact will that have?
Well, I think one of the reasons, if you like to be positive, is that there's a lot, maybe not so much information, but a lot of disinformation, that there's, what both governments are saying can't both be true at once. And so there is a sense that both countries can say to their own audiences that they've succeeded by whatever metrics they're using. Access to news from India, access to news from Pakistan could be used to dispute that. So I think, whilst it's a bit kind of Orwellian, the use of disinformation by at least one of the sides can be a way of both sides claiming success and potentially leading to de-escalation.
Now, it's de-escalation. It's the topic indeed in this situation. Pakistan has called on the U.S. to get involved, but India is traditionally reluctant to accept mediators in the conflict. Do you think there is anything the international community or powerful countries like the U.S. or China can do, Gareth, to calm things down?
Well, yeah, the US has called for things to be cooled down, but without taking a more active role. And as you say, India generally says it's a bilateral matter between India and Pakistan. China, you mentioned, as equally said, it would be good for, calm heads to prevail. But China can do little to mediate because it's seen as too close to Pakistan. Lots of countries, including the UK and European countries, have called for calm, but that on itself seems unlikely. And I think in the past, historically, things have de-escalated because India and Pakistan want them to. And I imagine that will be the same this time, though the process is a little bit unclearer than in earlier times of tension.
Gareth, thank you very much for talking with us today. That was South Asia analyst Gareth Price in London.